everyone, welcome back to She Tried It. I'm so happy to present the Boho Puff Stripe Blanket by Daisy Farm Crafts. I also want to answer some of the questions you guys asked on my community post. As usual, there will be timestamps below for each section of this video. I have my tea ready, so let's get started. Completely shocked if you've never heard of Daisy Farm Crafts, but as always, I'm so glad if I'm the one to introduce y'all. If you're a mom-to-be, a grandma-to-be, an aunt-to-be, Tiffany and Hannah are definitely the mother-daughter crochet designer duo that you need to know about. Matter of fact, if you're a crochet designer, you must be familiar with Daisy Farm Crafts. As y'all might know, I have a pattern for something called the Whole Mood Midi Skirt. I link to the pattern in every description box, and I show a picture of it at the end of every single video I make. But in that pattern, I use a ribbing technique used from Daisy Farm Crafts. I just linked directly to their YouTube tutorial. Daisy Farm Crafts is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to anything baby crochet and even anything crochet stitches. All crocheters are bound to find value in visiting the Daisy Farm Crafts website and YouTube channel, both of which will be linked below in the description box. For those of you unfamiliar with how Daisy Farm Crafts began, I'll also leave a blog post they made in the description box below. Honestly, it's just a heartwarming story of a mom and her daughters. I highly encourage you to read it. Believe it or not, but this pattern is free. I don't know about y'all, but I love a free pattern. It's also extremely customizable. While it's designed to be a blanket for a baby, I was simply able to add a few extra stitches in the foundation row, and I ended up with this beautiful adult lap blanket for me. I opted for a more simple design, but if you want pizzazz, I promise you, they have that. My blanket goes perfectly with my grayish couch, and the fringe tassels add such a sweet touch. I've been enjoying drinking my morning tea with my blanket on my lap to keep me warm. Today's yarn is nothing new to this channel. It's none other than Big Twist Classic in the color gray, which is exclusively sold at Joann's. I use this yarn in the color beige to make the aesthetic hanging chair for my niece. Might I add, that's also my most viewed video on my channel, so thank you. I also used this same yarn in the same color last year when I made the daylight cardigan. That was my first knit cardigan, so it has tons of mistakes, but it's also probably one of my most worn makes. For those unfamiliar, this is Big Twist Classic. Don't get confused because Big Twist has about 5 million different types of yarn at Joann's. Big Twist Classic is classified as a number 5 bulky weight yarn. Its fiber content is 100% acrylic and it comes with 644 yards in every 11-ounce skein. If you go with the yarn like this, you shouldn't need too many skeins to complete a blanket at all. Just a fun fact for those who've been following me for a while, back when I first learned to crochet, I was so scared to learn to read a pattern. So I ended up watching a YouTube tutorial to make stuff. I ended up making this cardigan pullover thing with this yarn. I later realized it was hideous and unflattering and gross. So I unraveled all that yarn and a lot of it I used to make this blanket. Okay, well, enough about the blanket. Let's hop into these questions. Prairie Lande asked, how do you start a strong YouTube channel? I never really thought of my channel as strong, but I think that it's just a matter of consistency. That's a really big deal. I think that you need to do something that you enjoy. So this crochet thing was kind of a shot in the dark because I kind of learned to crochet and then I started a channel. So the likelihood of me knowing that I'm gonna like it in the future is iffy. I don't know. I might hate it by next year, but so far so good. If I hate crocheting, I have knitting to fall back on, but I don't know, we'll see. I think it also matters that you're doing videos that you enjoy. I think trying to make videos that you think other people are gonna enjoy is just really impossible. Like, you don't know what people want unless they specifically tell you, but you don't really know what people want. So just make sure you enjoy the videos that you put out. I know for myself, I legitimately enjoy my channel. I legitimately watch my videos. I am a viewer of my channel. If I could subscribe to my channel, I would be subscribed, but I really enjoy what I put out there. So I think that that really matters. Make sure you're putting videos that you personally enjoy. The next question is from Sunny Zebra. What is your favorite yarns, favorite hooks? What knitting and crochet patterns do you want to make in the future? And what do you wish you would have done differently in learning how to knit? Okay, so let's start with the first you. What is your favorite yarn? Of course, Curio number 3. Hopefully if you're a loyal subscriber, you already know that. I think Curio number 3 is my favorite yarn to crochet and to knit with. If that ever changes, I will definitely let you know. But right now, Curio number 3 is number 1. What is my favorite hook? I actually recently did a video about Battle of the Crochet hooks or something like that. And I tried out a few new hooks. So I was fine with the hooks I was using, but since I had hooks available to me from Crochet, I checked out a few hooks off their website and I found that I love Clover and More hooks, which are kind of expensive, but they're really amazing. So if you want to splurge, I highly recommend getting those. What knitting and crochet patterns do you want to make in the future? I am a planner and I do have all my makes planned, at least for the first half of the year, kind of past the first half, pretty much for the whole year. But that's all my content, so I don't really want to say what it is, but I do have some stuff coming. I have hopefully a couple dresses coming. I have some, like, I guess you could call it functional stuff that you could use just in everyday life coming. And I'm really excited for that video. Don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I'm excited to make it because it's different. I have another pattern coming from Two of Wands, which I'm really excited about, but that will be in the second half of the year. I actually got her Crew of Wands thing. She has this little giveaway thing and I won it, so I got a free pattern. I would just stay tuned to the channel. I don't really want to share, and that's not me being like secretive, but I just really don't want to share because that's my whole channel, is the stuff that I make. The next thing you asked was, what do you wish you would have done differently in learning how to knit? So for those who don't know, I think I've shared this in a video, but I learned to knit the same way I learned to crochet, in a free library class. And I actually want to go back to the lady that taught me because by the time I really got into it and started my channel, COVID had hit, so she didn't really know, like, dang, you learned how to read patterns, you started a channel. Like, I'd really like to go back and tell her that. I don't think I would have done anything differently. I love the way she taught. She taught us, like, personally and like individually, because there are about 6 of us in that class. And then she also showed us YouTube tutorials, and she like let us write down the titles so we could go home and like look them up again. She taught us all these different techniques. I want to say she had handouts. I mean, the lady was pretty awesome. I have no regrets about the way I learned to knit. I guess the only regret I have is I think I started like too much too soon. Like, I think that there's levels to everything that you learn. There's levels to it. I probably should have started with like a dish towel or something, and I didn't. I think I started with like this tank top I made. I forget the name of that tank top, but that was the first thing I knit, and it was a bit uneven. It wasn't bad, but it was just a bit uneven. And then I hopped straight to that sweater by Knititude. That was so hard, but I don't think it would have been that hard if I had gone with the levels that you're supposed to go with. So I would not rush it. If I were to start back over, I would have like done the levels in a logical succession so that it wouldn't have been so crazy. Because honestly, after that Knititude pattern, even though it's beautiful and I love it, I never wanted to knit after that. So I would beware of that issue. The next question is also from Sunny Zebra, and she said, how much time do you dedicate to crocheting/knitting? You're always completing new projects and I feel so slow. First off, I don't want you to feel slow. That is not my intention. I think one thing to keep in mind is that I have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to be consistent with the whole strong YouTube channel question. I'm just trying to be consistent with the stuff I put out there. I also take breaks, which I guess you don't really see because I'm way ahead on what I'm putting out there. So I may put out a video, but I've already made the next 2 things for the next 2 videos. So it just looks like I keep putting stuff out there, but I'm pretty much ahead on what I'm doing, if that makes sense. Just to make sure, don't feel bad. Anybody, especially Sunny Zebra, but don't feel bad. But how much time do I dedicate to knitting and crocheting? I would say it's not that much. My main times during the week are at my lunch break during work, so I get a 1-hour lunch break and I'll spend that whole time knitting or crocheting, whatever I'm working on. And then typically when I come home from work, I'll spend like an hour or 2 knitting or crocheting. While I'm on the phone with my parents or like watching TV, I'll knit or crochet, but then I'll make dinner, and then after dinner, I don't really want to knit or crochet. Like, I just want to take a break from it, because I think doing it too much could make me not love it anymore. And the only time I'll like go crazy with it is if I'm like rushing to get a deadline done or rushing to get a video done or something. And on the weekends, depending on what I have going that weekend, which a lot of weekends I don't have anything going on, I'll go to a coffee shop and I could be there for hours. And that's probably the only non-normal thing, is I could be at a coffee shop for like 4 or 5 hours knitting or crocheting. And the way that my work schedule works, I get every other Friday off. So some of my Fridays off, again, if I have nothing I have to do, than I will go to a coffee shop and knit or crochet for hours. So the weekends are like my main time to like get it in and everything. The next question is from Denise Coleman. She said, what do you find to be the most challenging about knitting? I love crochet. I've tried knitting, but it just didn't click for me. What makes you prefer one over the other? So the most challenging thing about knitting, it's so funny that once you like get into it, what's that? I always say this quote and I'm sure y'all are sick of it, but it's like by Nelson Mandela, and it's like it always seems impossible until it's done. At the beginning of knitting, it just seemed like every aspect of it was what was challenging about it. But now it's just the stuff I don't know that seems challenging. So cables seem challenging. If you watch that whole video where I talk about the fears that I have about knitting and crochet, all those things I mentioned in that video seem challenging. But once I do it, I'm sure it's just like, that was not that bad. But getting started, if I can remember, the thing that seemed challenging was keeping an even tension. In the moment, it didn't seem like I had any control over that. It just seemed like the needles were the things that drive how the stitches looked. And I couldn't figure out how to make sure I like yarned over and made sure every stitch looked like the same, but with crochet it seemed effortless, but with knitting it seemed so hard. And I think it just was by practicing and doing it over and over again. And I've gotten the comment a couple of times that people say that my stitches in my knit and crochet stuff look so neat, which is hilarious to me because I never would have thought that, but it's very complimentary. And I think it just takes practice. Like once you get it down, then you get it down. You can't really go back to what you used to do. The other thing you said was what makes you prefer one over the other? And I don't think I prefer one over the other. If you watch my video, I do compare knit and crochet and I kind of give pros and cons for each. Yeah, I don't really prefer one over the other. I like them both differently, and I would say equally. The next question is from Amara. She said, she has a couple questions. So she said, do you have any favorite non-pilling yarns that you can recommend? What is your favorite yarn weight and why? If you could only knit/crochet one type of item for the rest of your life, what would it be? Okay, so the first question, do you have any favorite non-pilling yarns you can recommend? I think that this one's actually a really good one. Big Twist Classic, so if you need a bulky yarn, it's a great option. I've never used the other Big Twist, so don't quote me on anything else. This one, I also used it for the cardigan, like I said, and the cardigan that I always wear, it doesn't really pill or anything. Like I think pilling is little balls. If anything, it starts to look shaggy after a while, or it gets a bit of a halo, and you can just clean that off easily with one of those sweater brazier things, so that's not a big deal at all. But this is a great yarn. I think Karen's Simply Soft is a great yarn. I think that the Brava line that I get from We Crochet is promising. The only thing about that I'm iffy on is I don't have anything that I made a long time ago and I can for sure tell you like, oh yeah, it doesn't pill. But I think it's pretty promising. I love this yarn. That's the other one. I love this yarn is the yarn that I've used for multiple pattern tests in the past, and that's the yarn that I don't think pills at all either. So that's a great yarn. That's from Hobby Lobby. The other question you ask is, what is your favorite yarn weight and why? So it's different for knit and it's different for crochet. My favorite yarn weight for knit is probably bulky yarn. My favorite yarn weight for crochet for sure is like fingering or like crochet thread, anything in the Curio No. 3 family or that Hawthorne fingering family. I like very, very thin yarn for crochet and very thick yarn for knit. The next question you asked is, if you could only knit/crochet one type of item for the rest of your life, what would it be? For sure, it would be cardigans. I think they're so versatile. I think that cardigans, I'm a jeans and t-shirt kind of girl, so you could pair jeans and like a tank top or any shirt with a cardigan and get tons of outfits out of that. You could even pair it with dresses, you could pair it with skirts, you could pair it with so many things. But I feel like making a dress or a pullover, sweater, or just anything else, you're limiting yourself so much, but a cardigan has endless possibilities. If y'all didn't mind seeing slightly different variations of cardigans, this would definitely become a cardigan channel in the future, but I try to mix it up. I do like mixing it up, but yeah, cardigans would definitely be the thing that I love making the most. The next question is from Chat with Bella J, and she said, what is your go-to yarn And what is a yarn that you would never use, even if it was your only option? Okay, so what is your go-to yarn? Curio number 3, easy answer. What is a yarn you wouldn't use even if it was your only option? It for sure isn't anything that I've used in this channel, so if it's a yarn I would never use, you would not have seen it. Back when I very first started, there was this like white tweed yarn that I got from either Joann's or Hobby Lobby, and I don't remember. But it was a white tweed yarn, and it was a very, very thick. It might have been classified as like super bulky, and it shed like crazy. I just remember having like, it looked like just little hairs all over my floors, and I hated that. So those like really bulky, sheddy yarns, that's not one I would ever use. The next question is from Mrs. Anna 123. She has a few questions. So she said, do you have a job besides YouTube? Do you have kids, if that's not too personal? Will you do another cardigan pattern soon? I really do love your channel and you as a person. Thank you so much. So do you have a job besides YouTube? Absolutely. I'm an engineer. That is my full-time job. I went to college. I passed my PE exams. I'm like a legit engineer. Do you have kids? No, I don't have any kids, but I am an aunt to 3 beautiful children. You've probably seen them in my family rates my stuff. They can tend to have attitudes on those days, but I love them to death nonetheless. Will you do another cardigan pattern soon? I guess she's referring to the one that I made with that like inspiration to reality thing that I made, and I did make this like neon yellow cardigan. I never really released a formal pattern for that like I had hoped to, because things just got in the way, and then I realized I didn't want to. I could see me making another cardigan in the future. I was thinking the other day that it would be really cool to like go out and like say, hey, go to your local Hobby Lobby and buy like your favorite color in this yarn, or go to your local Joann's and buy your favorite color in this yarn, and we could do like a crochet along or a knit along. And I was doing a poll on my community post recently asking who is on my channel more, like who's a crocheter, who's a knitter, who does both, and it looked like I had more crocheters. Last time I checked, it was more crocheters than knitters on my channel. So maybe we could do a little crochet along. The only thing was I would want to be able to like see what y'all are doing. I know sometimes when like YouTube channels do stuff, it's like, oh, you can watch me, but I can't really see what you're doing. So it would be, I would introduce it on my YouTube channel, but we would clearly have to do it on another platform so that I could see y'all, I think. So if you have any ideas for that, or if that's something you're interested in, definitely comment it below and I'll start working on that for sometime, maybe this year. The last question we have is from Megan Womble, and she said, have you tried Tunisian crochet yet? I haven't, but I've heard it's a hybrid of crochet and knit. No, I have not tried Tunisian crochet before. It actually kind of terrifies me. I know that TL Yarn Crafts recently just came out with a book about Tunisian crochet. I think the book just has patterns in it. I don't think that it actually shows you how to Tunisian crochet. I'm not even sure how to get into that. I'm not sure where to buy a Tunisian crochet hook. I've just never looked into it. But at the moment, it's not something I'm interested in. I feel like there's so many crochet and knit items I want to make already that adding a whole other category of Tunisian crochet will just be overwhelming. Never say never. Maybe I'll learn it one day, but right now, I don't think that's something I'm gonna learn. That's all I have for today. And don't forget to check the description box for all the things I mentioned in this video. Thank you to everyone who asked questions. And if you have a question, comment it below and maybe I can make another video like this. Again, moms, aunts, grandmas, uncles, grandpas, dads, people who were just invited to someone's baby shower, please go check out Daisy Farm Crafts. I promise they have stuff that's so much more special than anything you could buy from the store. Anyways, see you in my next video. Bye.